Hi everyone, Sarah from Sarah Homfray Embroidery. So some of you know that we have recently been doing a couple of cruises teaching crafts on board Fred.Olsen Cruise Lines, and you've been asking about that. So we did take the cameras on board with us. We've done a little bit of filming and we thought we would share that experience with you. So this video is for those of you who usually watch our channel and just want to know what we've been up to, but also if you are thinking of taking a cruise with Fred.Olsen perhaps, and you're interested to know what the craft classes are like, then hopefully this will show you that. But even if you're just an armchair traveller and you're just interested in where we went, we're going to show you some beautiful places in the British Isles. We also have a giveaway. So we picked up a little something from our trip around the British Isles recently, and we're going to give that to you. So you'll need to keep watching the video to see how you can get in the draw to have a go at winning this prize. Okay, there's a lot to get through, so let's set sail. So we're actually on board as part of the entertainment team, and it was our role to provide craft classes for the guests on board every day that the ship is at sea. So there's a really wide range of things to do when you're not in port and the ship is sailing between ports. I'm going to read a few of them out because there's loads of stuff to do. So as well as our craft classes, you could learn watercolour with the watercolour instructor. You could learn to play bridge. You could learn to dance. There were cooking demonstrations. There were lots of talks in the theatre. So specialists on board talking about specialist subjects in the theatre. You could play pub games. You could do that in the pub, or you could do that out on deck if the weather was nice. There's music in lots of different venues around the ship, but if you like a little bit of peace and quiet, you can also go in the library. You can grab a book off the shelf and sit and read that. And if you want complete quiet, you could go in the botanical room, one of my favourite places on the ship. Really beautiful, and just sit and chill in the botanical room. So if you're a bit more energetic, there was lots of fitness things to do as well. You can go and walk a mile around the deck every morning. There's a fitness studio as well and classes on there. There was a spa. They've got the swimming pools, and on two of the ships, on the Valarie and the Borealis, this is covered and they can open the roof on it, so you can use it all weathers. There's a jacuzzis as well, which I made good use of, and these are kept really warm, so you can go and use these whatever the weather is, even if it's freezing outside like I did, because you just can't be chilling out in the jacuzzi with the snowy mountains in the background. And you can do all of that and kick back with a cocktail of the day, or a mocktail in my case, because I'm not an alcoholic drinker. So just sit and chill and enjoy the views and enjoy everything the ship has to offer. So there's tons to do on board ship. So I'm going to talk specifically about the craft classes because that's what we were on board to do. So we teach every sea day. As I mentioned, it's first thing in the morning, so we get the first class of the day, but we only get 1 hour to teach. Now that isn't very long, and if you watch my Finish It Friday videos, you know I like to get stuff done. I like to tick it off and put it away. I hate having unfinished projects around, so I design my classes to try and get them done in that hour, or as near to the hour as possible. Now obviously embroidery is my thing, but we have to offer other things on board. Not everybody wants to do embroidery, so we're doing other crafts as well. So I've had quite a lot of fun actually coming up with different things to do. I like making stuff, doesn't just have to be embroidery. I just like making things with my hands, so I quite enjoyed that process of finding other things to do that people might like, and also the challenge of getting it in an hour. I don't usually teach in an hour. It's really quite difficult, so I quite enjoyed those two challenges and working out some new things that I could show people how to do. So all three of Fred.Olsen ships have dedicated art rooms on board. They're absolutely fantastic rooms, but they don't have any craft supplies in them. If you imagine the logistics of a different craft instructor getting on board every week sometimes and not knowing what's in the craft room. So there isn't any craft supplies on board, so we have to take everything we need. So I have to be quite organised with that and just make sure we're only carrying what we absolutely need and we're not carrying anything extra. Jonathan comes on board with me as my assistant, my able assistant, so he gets really involved in the preparation and teaching on the ship as well. So he's been helping me to cut fabrics and to pack kits and to fold up instructions and do all of that. And he also has a go at all of the projects, most of the projects. I don't think he's done everyone, but he has a go at most of them, so that if he needs to on board, we get a big class of lots of people, he can help me out with a project, which is really useful. So I'm actually going to show you some of the things we made on the first cruise we ever did. So we started in the first class, our first hour, we made these lovely little velvet roses. I have shown these before in previous videos as well, so you might have seen those there. So we just made these little brooches, we put the felt leaves on them, and you could wear those on your bags or on your evening wear out to dinner. I did see some people wearing them around the ship. And if you are a patron or a channel member, there is a video on how to make these. So if you're interested in that, you could pop along and check that out. It's not very much money, a couple of pounds a month just to try it out. Lots of extra content on there, including this velvet rose brooch video. So the second project we did was weaving. So we did some little woven Norwegian landscapes. We were in Norway in search of the Northern Lights. That was the cruise that we were on. And we made these lovely little landscapes out of these little leftover bits of thread. And people could make up their own designs and weave it however they wanted to. And then I had these little wooden embellishments they could put on as well. And I'll just show you that one. Don't know which way up it is. Up it is. So this was a little weaving card we gave everybody, and they put the warp threads around and they just weave in the colours that they like, and then I showed them how to finish those off, and then we attached them to a card. So these are on actual cards that they could take away with them. So that was the second project we did. As I've mentioned, we were in search of the Northern Lights. We did see them. They were absolutely stunning. I've never seen anything like it. We were out on deck for about an hour and a half just watching these incredible lights go over the ship. So luckily, I was doing, as one of the classes, some embroidery Northern Lights, embroidering the Northern Lights. So I was so glad they did come out, and we did actually see them. So this was a 2-day class that we did. So we just applied some fabric and made some sort of mountain scene in the background. We did that in the first hour of the class, and then in the second one we stitched these Northern Lights here with a variegated thread. Came out really beautifully, that, and I'd put some little stars on it as well, and the little stars are actually done in a glow in the dark thread. So if you turn the lights off, they do actually glow like little stars. Can't do that in a minute because it's daylight, but you have to trust me on that one. That was a really, really popular class. Everybody loved that, and they did some absolutely stunning versions of their own. They all came out differently because they'd chosen different fabrics and put it together in a different way. So I like to encourage people to do their own, put their own stamp on it and make it their own, and then they're all different and they looked absolutely fabulous together. So on the last day, we made little memory books of the cruise that we had been on, little magic memory books. So I've just taken the band off that one and it magically opens up. And folds back together again. So it's just 3 pieces of paper and only a few folds. It looks really spectacular, but they're not very difficult to make. And I'll just show you this one. Bit of a night sky, starry sky, Northern Lights theme. And I made little inserts to go in them, and they could choose what insert they wanted. So favourite ship activities, places visited, special memories, new friends that you've made, and they could choose what they wanted and stick those in their little magic memory books. And people put in tickets as well from things that they've seen on the cruise, and lots of different things in there. So again, they personalised them, but they have quite a good wow factor, these. When you open them, they're quite exciting. And then we just made a little cover for it, and we used some of the Fred.Olsen brochures, some old ones that I had and I took with me, and we cut those up and we could decorate the front with them, and then we made little bands to go around them to hold them together, again with images from the brochure. So they were a lot of fun to do. Again, a full class with that one, really popular, a really fun project to do. So the cruise that we have just been on was a circumnavigation of the British Isles. Really lovely opportunity to sail around your own island, and that was on board Balmoral, and that left from Rosyth. So Rosyth is up in Scotland. It's just north of Edinburgh. So it was Casey's in the car for a long drive up there, and we did stop to see some friends on the way up, which was really nice. They made us lunch. And we stopped at the Scottish border as well. There's only a flag and a lay-by. There's not a lot there. But last time we came this way, we were on our motorbike and we were going the other way, and it was throwing it down and we were a bit wet and miserable and we couldn't see anything. So the weather was beautiful this time. So we thought we'll just stop at the border. We'll have a look at the scenery. We'll have a little bit of a leg stretch, and really beautiful scenery between the two countries. So the ships sail from lots of ports in the UK. So Rosyth is the most northern one. The next one is Newcastle, covering the north, and then covering the west coast you have Liverpool. And then if you're down south, they leave from Portsmouth, Southampton, and then Dover as well. So there's lots of different places in the country you can get on the ships to do their cruises. Sail away from UK ports is usually an early evening sail away, and it is nice to go up on board if it's still light. If you're doing a summer cruise and it's still daylight, it is lovely to go up on board and see the sail away. And Rosyth is brilliant. Rosyth's a tiny little port, but you go under all 3 bridges, and I'm going to have to read this because this is confusing. So we sail away under the bridges of the Firth of Forth. So the Firth derives its name from a fjord, which is Norse for a narrow inlet, and the Forth is the name of the river. So basically it's a narrow inlet of the river Forth. Are you following me? So there are 3 bridges that cross the river Forth. So there's the new motorway bridge, which is the one that you go along on now to cross between the 2 pieces of land. The middle bridge is the old bridge, the old road bridge that you would use, and then there's the famous red bridge, so that's the railway bridge. So everybody will probably seen an image of this railway bridge. It's famous because they have to paint it a lot, so there's a standing joke that by the time they finish painting it, they have to go back to the beginning and start again because it's so big. So they're just constantly painting the railway Forth bridge. It is really impressive sailing under these 3 bridges, and you just think, oh, are we actually going to get under there? But I presume somebody's checked it out and measured it, and even though the weather wasn't very nice, it was started to rain a little bit, we went up on deck to watch this, to go under it, and the captain gives a little toot of his horn just to tell everybody that we're leaving port. Now, the first day of a cruise from the UK is usually a sea day, unless you're in Southampton and you're just going across to Europe, but otherwise it takes that long to actually get to another bit of land. So it is usually a sea day. And as I mentioned, there's lots going on board on sea days, but for us, it was straight to the classroom for our first class of the cruise. So I'd like to welcome you to the Balmoral art room. This classroom is lovely. It's got lots of great lighting. It's got loads of tables and seating space. It's got a little kitchen area as well where they would bring us cold drinks and hot drinks as well if you wanted, and you could help yourself to those. So let me show you the classrooms on the other 2 ships as well. So on Borealis and Boletta, they are at the top of the ship and they're at the back. So you've got those fantastic views out of the windows. So this is Jonathan and I and our friend Tony, and we're trying out the art classes on board Boletta. This was a cruise we did to Spain in December, so this is us getting to grips with watercolour paint in this beautiful classroom. So it's back to the Balmoral art room, and our task was to set up for the first class of the day. So the first thing we taught on the last cruise that we have been on is our little butterflies. Here they are. You might have seen these before. We do have a video on how to make these on our main channel. Everybody can go and see that and see how to make one of these little butterflies. They're really cute. When we just put little brooches on the back, little magnets on the back, and people could wear them on whatever they wanted to wear them on. And I just want to mention at this point as well, I got some tartan fabric to make the butterflies with and got a little bit of tartan fabric left over. So I've actually made some more butterflies out of the tartan fabric. So if you want to get hold of one of these butterflies, they are on the shop now, only while stocks last. So get in quick and get one if you want a special tartan butterfly from our cruise. So the great thing about the art room on Balmoral is it's got a great big television in it. And for us that's brilliant because we take the camera, the one that I am talking to now, we take that with us and we just take one cable and we can connect it up to the TV, and I can demonstrate underneath it and everybody in the classroom can see. So if the classroom is full, it takes quite a few people, it takes about 40 people in the classroom, then everybody can see what I'm doing because I do quite small things. So that was a godsend, and that worked really well. Everybody enjoyed using that and seeing me demonstrate on the camera. You don't need to pre-book on the classes. You can just turn up to the classroom for the start of the class, and the same with the art classes in the afternoon as well. As I've mentioned, they take about 30 to 40 people depending on what ship you are on. So they can get busy. So it's a good idea if you want to join in just to turn up a little bit earlier and bag yourself a seat. You can see what's on by checking your Daily Times, which is your little newspaper of what's going on the ship. You get that the night before in your cabin, so do read that before you go to bed and just see what's on. The craft classes start early at 10 o'clock in the morning, and a few people miss them just so they haven't got up yet. They've had a busy night the night before, so do check your Daily Times to see when the classes are, where they are and what time they start. So even though the classes are only an hour long, the art rooms stay open. They stay open 24 hours and you can go in and use them. And whenever they're not being used for the classes, which is only a couple of hours a day, and you can just go in there and chill out in there and do some drawing or some painting. Often there's some little colouring books and there's a few art materials as well. You can grab those and have a little go at those if you want to. So it's a brilliant resource on the ship if you're an arty person and you need a little space to go and work. So I make a little instruction sheet for all of the projects that I do, so if they don't get finished in the hour or they want to rush off and go and do something else on board, they can, but they can still finish their project. So people can stay in the classroom and finish if they want to, and they often do that. They're often chatting away and making new friends as well. So if you want to go and use the art room and there's someone in there, just go and say hi. You can go and sit down if there's an empty seat, and you can use the room too. So if the cruise is long enough, or there have been a lot of sea days, there's been quite a few classes, you can often get an exhibition. So do look out for this in the Daily Times. It's usually the craft instructor with the art instructor. They put their work together and show all the work together, often in the art room, but it can be somewhere else. So do just check the Times, Daily Times, to see when and where that might be. We did one on our first cruise and lots of people came up to see what we've been doing. Lots of people said, oh, I wish I'd come and done your class when they'd seen what people had made. We put all the projects together and we laid them all out over the room and the art was up on the walls. It was really amazing to see what people had made in just a week, really, just coming along for an hour's class. So very creative and really lovely to see all that work. So once we're done in the class and everybody's finished their project and we've packed up and we've done a little bit of admin that we need to do, basically the rest of the day is ours to go and enjoy the ship and what the ship has to offer. So the cruise that we've just returned from, as I mentioned, was a circumnavigation of the British Isles. So we went from Rosyth all the way up to the top, the most northern part of the British Isles, up to Shetland, and then we went all the way right round the other side, over Scotland and down the other side of Britain, and then we went down to the Isles of Scilly. Fred.Olsen is really good at scenic cruising. If there's something to see, they will slow the ship down and they'll tell you all about it. So on our way up to Shetland, we went past the Duncansby sea stacks, which I actually used in my tunnel book, and I'll show you that in a second. And then we went past the Orkney Islands, where we saw the Needle and the Old Man of Hoy, before arriving into Lerwick in Shetland. There are lots of tours you can book when you get into a port, but Jonathan and I quite like exploring, so we usually just set off on foot, get a bit of exercise and go and see what there is to see in the area. And Lerwick is a lovely little town, and if you're familiar with the TV detective show Shetland, you will probably have seen quite a lot of it. There's a lot of people there looking at the places that were in the TV programme. But we had a really nice little walk around the town just to see what was what, and along the beaches and along the cliff as well, to see the view out to sea. Unfortunately, the Textile Museum was closed on the day that we were there, but on our little walk through town, we did come across an embroidery shop. So that was called Loose Ends, and that was owned by a lady called Dee, and working with her was Estelle. So all of that brings me nicely onto our little giveaway for this video. So we got this little kit from Loose Ends, made by Estelle from her company Midwinter Yarn. So it's a needlepoint kit. It's actually on an Ada fabric, but this design is inspired by the rich knitting traditions of Shetland. And this one represents spring, so lots of beautiful spring colours in this. So the kit's got all the materials that you need in it. It's got actual Shetland wool from real Shetland sheep in it. So it's a really authentic kit and it could be yours. So what you need to do to be in with a chance of winning this kit is just to leave us a comment in the comments section below this video. Just to include the word Shetland. I'll put it on the screen now so you can see exactly how to spell that and how to put that in. You can just type Shetland in the comments if you want to. Or if you want to make up something a little bit more interesting using the word, we always love to read those comments. So we will pick a winner at random, and at this point I would normally say we'll send it to you wherever you are in the world, but I'm afraid at the moment we cannot send to EU and EAA countries, so that's Norway, Iceland and Lichtenstein, and I'm afraid also Northern Ireland at the moment. This is due to new EU GPSR regulations which you can't currently comply with, so if you're in one of those countries, I'm really sorry, you can't enter this competition. So you have until Sunday, the 20th of July 2025 to enter, to get your comments in the comment section below this video. We will announce the winner in our Tuesday Chit Chat video on the 22nd of July 2025. So if you are the winner, we will leave a reply to your winning comment in the comment section below the video. So do check that out to see how you can get hold of your kit. But I'll also put the name in the video and I'll pin it to the top and put it on my socials as well. And if we can't get hold of our winner by Sunday, the 3rd of August, we will have to do the draw again. So please just check that and see if you're the lucky winner. So I'll put links to Dee's shop and Estelle's website in the description below this video. If you are in Lerwick, do pop into Loose Ends and go and see what they've got and go and say hello. Okay, so let's see where we went after beautiful Shetland. So it's 2 more sea days to our next port of call. So that meant 2 more classes. So back in the classroom for us. And this time it was to teach our tunnel book project. So I'm going to show you what a tunnel book is. So this is a little sample that I made. Again, take the band off. So they're like a 3-dimensional little book. It's a little bit like a stage set really, and if I just pull that out you can see the different layers. So there's different pages, so we made 4 pages and then we just put them on this little concertina bit of card that we folded up, and you pull it out and you can look into the book and you can look through it and you can see this little scene of some of the places that we've been to, and then we put little pockets on it, and again I made little cards to go, and this tunnel book was made by, and the cruise that we went on and where it went, and then there's a little map as well of the route that we took. So people could make little pockets, they could put what they wanted in the little pockets, they could choose the images that they wanted to as well and decorate this any way they wanted. I'm just going to show you these paintings because, as I mentioned, there was lots of scenic cruising on the trip, and I actually did some paintings of some of the things that we went to see. So this is the Eden project, so this was down in Cornwall, we haven't got to that just yet. And this is Portsmouth as well, so this is the Spinnaker Tower in Portsmouth. This is Dartmouth, so these are all stops on the south coast, which I'll show you about when we get to that point. But this is the Duncansby Sea Stacks that was on the way up to Orkney that I've already mentioned. So it was really nice to see these places, and I painted them, and we actually got copies of those, and we could use those in the tunnel book. So I'll just show you this tunnel book as well. So this one uses all of the images that I have just shown that I painted. So we got them all printed and everybody had a copy of all of those images, and you could just cut those out and layer them. And depending on how you cut them, you can choose which layer they go on. So you need to be able to see through the whole book so you can see all the way through to the back. So you can see the Duncansby Sea Stacks at the back. Then there's the Eden project. Then there's Dartmouth Castle. And then there's the Spinnaker Tower. So really personal little book of our journey. Again, the journey's on there, and this tunnel book was made there by me, and then we just decorated the cover with images from the brochures again. Then we made the little band to go round it and hold the pages together. So those were really great little projects to do. They're a lot of fun, those tunnel books. You can do it with any magazine as well. It doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be a travel brochure that you use. Obviously I was making it about the cruise, so that's why we did that. So they were a lot of fun, and I enjoyed using my little paintings that I had done from places that we'd actually visited as well. So after the class there was lots more lovely scenic cruising to do. So we were around the top of Scotland, we went through the Hebrides, we went past the Isle of Skye and the small isles also, and then Dutchman's Cap and Fingal's Cave as well. Now you might have heard of Fingal's Cave, made famous by the composer Felix Mendelssohn. He was so inspired apparently when he visited that he immediately wrote the first few bars of what would become the Hebrides Overture, and he wrote it on a postcard and he sent it to his sister. So I guess he was worried he wasn't going to remember it, or he's so inspired, as I've got to tell somebody about this now, about this absolutely amazing place. We stopped at Fingal's Cave for quite a long time. We got quite close to it, so we got a really good look at it. Absolutely incredible, and the weather was beautiful as well. We were really lucky, so the scenic cruising on this was absolutely amazing. So our next stop was actually the other end of the British Isles. So we've gone from Shetland, which is the northernmost point, all the way down to the Isles of Scilly. If you don't know where that is, it's off the bottom of Cornwall. It's 28 miles off Cornwall. You can go there by ferry from Penzance, or you can get an aeroplane and you can fly there. But obviously we were on our ship, so we actually anchored out off one of the islands, and we got a tender to the main island of St Mary's. Now normally you would use the tender boats off your ship, but it's a little bit different in the Isles of Scilly because they send out all their little boats to come and pick you up. So they have lots of little islands in Scilly, and they use this network of boats and routes to get from one island to the other. So they use these open top boats, I have to mention, and they come out and get you from the ship on the open top boats. This was our first experience of a tender. It was quite exciting. It's not for the faint-hearted. You have to get off one moving ship onto another moving ship, but the crew were brilliant and they help you on board. The boats to Scilly were open top, as I've mentioned, so you do have to just consider the weather and whether it's going to rain on you. It was a good half an hour boat ride from the ship to St Mary's Island, so luckily we didn't get wet from that, but it was quite exciting. It was a lot of fun. Tender boats do come and go all day long from ship to shore, so you can just get on and off and go back and forth as you want. It does take quite a while to get the tenders. It's not like coming into port and just stepping off the ship. So if you ever do a cruise with a tender, just allow for the time it takes to queue up and to get on the boat and to get off the boat the other end. They are a lot of fun, but it does take a little bit of extra time to get on and off. So there's lots to see in the Isles of Scilly. They were absolutely beautiful. I was really struck by them. We'd love to go back and see them. So there's a Tresco Abbey Gardens are very famous. You could get on a little boat to one of the other islands and see that. But again, Jonathan and I just quite like to explore. So we just got off the tender. We just had a little wander around the town. So we had a walk around the old garrison walls, and there's some beautiful views of the islands from there. It was a really lovely walk, and we stopped in town, had a little bit of lunch in a lovely cafe, sitting out on the street having our sandwiches. We went and did a little bit of shopping there, and then of course a little bit of beach combing. I love my beach combing, and it's got two beaches really close together. So we're in Hugh Town, which is the main town on the island of St Mary's, and it's a couple of shops between one beach and the other. So it's lots of opportunities to go and sit on the beach and enjoy a little bit of beach time and a little bit of beach combing. And then we headed back to the harbour to get the tender back to our ship. There's lots of wildlife to see on the Isles of Scilly, so it's just worth on the boat trip back to the ship. Just keep your eyes out, see if you can spot anything from the boat. So we had 3 port days in a row now, so no more teaching for us until we were actually heading back home. So our first port of call was Falmouth for the Sea Shanty Festival, and it was really lovely because we met up with Janie. So Janie, hi Janie, was leading one of the tours for the guests. She was going to the Eden project, and she said, I'm going to be there, I'm going to be outside the ship at this time, do come and say hello. So we went and said hello to Jane, and she gave me a little present. If you want to see what she gave me and what I made, you can check that video out. I'll put it up at the end. She gave me a beautiful set of fabrics, and I made something with it recently, and we made a video out of it, and there's a lot of meaning behind the fabric, so do go and check that video out and to see all about that project. So we did go to see if we could see some of the Sea Shanty Festival, and it was a real shame because it started raining, and boy did the rain come down.
Sailing homeward to Mingalay.
It really came down heavily. I felt really sorry for the organisers, all these amazing venues set up, but it was all weekend. It's on every year. It's really popular. People come from all over the world to see it. So they did have a couple of dry days after we'd gone, but obviously we got there on the only day that it rained. So we did go out and have a little look for that. We went in the Maritime Museum just to stay out of the rain for a little bit, but we were wet, so we went back to the ship and had a bit of lunch and got changed. Then I decided I would head out again. Jonathan headed for the bar and decided he'd have look at the rain from the bar with a beer in his hand. It's absolutely fine. You can do whatever you want on these ships. You don't have to get off if you don't want to. So I went back to explore a little bit more in Falmouth. I did a little bit of shopping. I did a little more beach combing. I got really wet again. So I headed back to dry off for the second time. So it was a bit of a shame about the weather in Falmouth and that it wasn't so good for the festival. It looked like it was going to be an absolutely amazing event. We did manage to catch a few of the singers as well, singing in the rain, singing their hearts out in the rain. But luckily they had a few dry days. So by the time we got to Dartmouth, which was our next port of call, it was nice and sunny again. So Dartmouth was another tender port for us, so it meant another boat ride into the actual harbour there, and this time we used the boats of our ship, so they get those boats off. Those ones have got a cover on them, so you don't need to worry about whether it rains or not, and it was only a 10-minute ride as well from the ship to the jetty. So Dartmouth is an absolutely beautiful town. It's famous in Britain for being the home of the Royal Naval College there, but it is a lovely town and there's lots to do there. And from the ship where we were anchored out at sea, you come in through the entrance, so you come in to the mouth of the River Dart, hence Dartmouth, and you come into the entrance there, and it's got castles on both sides. You come in through the hills there with the castles at the bottom, and you come into this absolutely beautiful harbour. It's a really lovely entrance to a town. It's got lovely shops there. You can go and do a little boat ride there. It's got some really old buildings, some beautiful old buildings. There's even a steam train. There's obviously the castles that I've mentioned already. Loads of outside eateries. We had a lovely lunch outside just overlooking the harbour there. Some really lovely waterfront walks. You can just walk all the way along the waterfront as well and have a look at the views. And if you want to go a little bit further afield, Agatha Christie's house is not further away. If you like a little bit of a detective story, you can go and visit her house if you want to go a bit further afield. So we had a lovely day just mooching around Dartmouth. We had a lovely meal and a lovely walk along the front there. And on the way back to the ship on the tender, I really wanted to make sure I got a good picture of the castle. So I'd used the castle in my little tunnel book. So I was like, I'm going to sit on this side of the tender. I'm going to make sure I'm there. And I got a really good spot. And I managed to get some brilliant pictures of the castle because you don't often get to see it from the sea. Usually you can go on and visit the castle and you get to see the sea from the castle, but you don't often get to see the castle from the sea. So it was really lovely to do that. Got really good pictures and see it nice and close. So we went up on deck when we were back on board, and we actually watched them bring the tender boat back on board. It's really quite complicated. It's an absolutely amazing feat of organisation. They get these boats on and off. You don't really appreciate it until you see it. So we watched them do that, and then the pilot came out to us and he helped escort us out onto our next port of call. So the next stop was Portsmouth, and I'm not going to say too much about that because we have actually made a video on what we did in Portsmouth. We went to see the Overlord Embroidery. If you haven't seen that, you don't know what it is, you didn't see our video, that's in a little chit chat video. I'll put that one up at the end as well. Do go and have a look at that because it's quite a stunning piece of embroidery and well worth a look. But if you're in Portsmouth and you don't want to see the embroidery, there's absolutely tons to do there. It's a really very lively naval city, so there's loads of famous ships there. So we've got Lord Nelson's ship HMS Victory that was at the Battle of Trafalgar. It's actually the one that he died on, and it's still a commissioned ship. It's still actually a commissioned ship. It doesn't go anywhere. It's not seaworthy, but it is still a commissioned ship. With also remains of Henry VIII's warship, the Mary Rose. So that sank in 1545. It was actually recovered in 1981. I remember watching them on the telly bring it up, and they brought it in this big cradle, and the cradle snapped, and everybody gasped, and they thought they'd lost the ship again, but they hadn't. They did get it out, and it's got its own purpose building now that they keep it in, and they keep it wet because that helps preserve it. And you can go and look at that. It's an absolutely incredible wreck to go and see. HMS Warrior is also there, and when we were there, there was also a brand new ship in. So Britain's newest aircraft carrier, HMS Queen Elizabeth, was also in port. It was quite amazing to see this, actually a huge thing. It just doesn't look like any kind of ship that I've ever seen before. And it was actually assembled in Rosyth, so that's where we sailed from, in Rosyth. So it was a really nice connection to see another ship that had been built in the place that we've just sailed from. So this was our last port of call before heading home. So guess what? Back in the classroom for our last class day. So this one we did some embroidered cards. So I did some little paintings again. I did a kind of a landscape one. There's some little trees and a night sky. And I also did one, I haven't got it because I'm actually given it to somebody, but I did a kind of generic garden kind of flowers one, thinking of Tresco Gardens on the Isles of Scilly there. So I had 3 that they could choose from, and then I got them printed so everybody could choose which one they wanted. There were lots of copies of each, and we just made holes in them, and then we just stitched some ordinary embroidery stitches through with some ordinary embroidery thread. Really quite interesting thing to stitch on. It's a little bit different to fabric. Obviously you can only make one hole. If you go wrong, you can't close the hole up. So we just poked the needle through, and we tried a few stitches on it. They had a little bit of spare card if they wanted to try them out, and I gave them just these samples here of some different stitches you could do, and the dots that you need to make in the card in order to make that stitch. So a little bit different from stitching on fabric, but really fun to do. And you can just take any image and stitch on it, and had lots of little samples to show them as well with some different stitches on. So we had a lot of fun making some embroidered cards. So that was it for us for teaching on the cruise. We could just kick back and enjoy what was left of it on our way back up to Rosyth. We had a really wonderful trip around the British Isles. We saw lots of places that we have never been to before. We visited a few that we'd both seen many, many years ago. We've made some new friends as well, and have loved teaching in the classroom, teaching crafts. So I hope you enjoyed that little insight and to come along on board with us and see what we did in our classes. So don't forget to get your comments in below and join in the giveaway to win this lovely embroidery kit from Shetland. And if you haven't seen that video on the Overlord embroidery, you can see that up here, and you can check this one out here to see what I made out of those beautiful materials that Janie gave me. I'd like to thank you all for watching, for coming along with us on our trip. I hope you enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and I'll see you next time.